Welcome to module number 5, P3O resources. The syllabus area and the various contents under the syllabus areas that we would be looking into would be the following. At level 2, we would be looking into the skills, competencies required to fulfill the roles that provide the different services offered by the functional areas within a P3O model. If you remember, broadly speaking, we could break down the various functions of a P3O into strategic planning support, delivery support functionalities, and center of excellence functional areas. So we would kind of look into the skills and competencies required to fulfill the roles that provide the different services offered by the different functional areas within a P3O model. To which functional area or office in a P3O model each role might be allocated is something that we will examine. P3O resources, team structure and responsibilities for P3O roles, and the P3O office to which they should be appointed is something that we would examine. Skills and competencies required for the P3O roles allocated to a given P3O office. And at level 4, we would examine the resources assigned to P3O roles in a P3O office, and are they really suitable, and identify the strengths, weaknesses of these appointments, as well as the opportunities for optimization of these roles. Now, let's kind of begin with the kind of skills and competencies required of P3O staff. The tone and approach of a successful P3O component office within a P3O model is set by the person at the top. So the head of P3O is a key role. And this individual must have the right experience, must have influence, credibility, and charisma, and be able to lead from the middle. In other words, this particular role should be able to talk with the top executives and also the managers at the bottom layers of the organization. Managing up, down, and sidewards is the is what we mean by managing from the middle. They need to be a good people person, have a good understanding of methods, be a decision maker, be capable of following a vision, and have first-hand experience of program and project delivery. Now, some of the best heads of P3O have come from varied backgrounds, including business operations, management, strategy development, and business planning. An extensive knowledge of PPM is not necessarily a key competence for the head of P3O. It's important to have a smaller number of appropriately skilled people who can interpret and challenge data than to have a large number of administrative staff who collate data without interpreting it and without making the necessary recommendations to the decision makers. The skills and competencies of portfolio office staff will need to include investment management. We need folks with skills in investment appraisals, a bit of financial thinking and economic thinking, strategic planning and implementation skills and competencies, benefits management. These staff will also need to have the ability to see the big picture, what is often referred to as the helicopter view, and make recommendations based on insightful information. They will need to have political awareness and stakeholder engagement skills, be capable of operating and influencing at senior management board level, and have an understanding of the business challenges and changes required. They should also have credible delivery experience, i.e. they should have run large programs and projects, managing risks at a strategic level, or operated a business unit, and understand the challenges that change will bring and how to balance change with operational working. Such people are hard to find and should be valued and developed within the organization. Continuing on the skills and competencies of the head of P3O, the P3O roles, and portfolio office staff. So we've got a tabular indication of some of the high-level skills and competencies required. The head of P3O should be experienced, should be influential, have credibility and charisma, should be able to lead from the middle, as we kind of looked at earlier on, must be a people's person, understand methods, decision making, ability to follow a vision, and first-hand experience of PPM well is not mandatory for this particular role, but it's good to have some experience in PPM. So skills and competencies for P3O roles: good PPM skills and competence, generic business skills, functional competence, generic people skills, coaching, mentoring, facilitation, and presentation skills are needed for the P3O roles. And for the portfolio of office staff, investment management, strategic planning and implementation, benefits management are good skills to have. Ability to see the big picture, political awareness and stakeholder engagement, operating and influencing at senior level, the relevant experience in the portfolio management space are good sets of skills and competence. Now, broadly speaking, we could kind of break down all the roles in P3O into three types. We could break them down into management roles, generic roles, and specific functional roles. Let me just kind of make a note of that for you. So broadly speaking, all the roles within P3O could be broken down into management roles, generic roles, and functional roles. By functional roles, we mean risk management, benefits management, etc. Please keep this broad classification in perspective. Now, the job descriptions in a P3O model or competent office may focus on a management or generic role, example, head of P3O, or on a specific function, or be a combination of different functions. The functional roles may, in a large or permanent organization or permanent office, be allocated to a single person or multiple people. However, in a smaller or temporary office, these roles will often be combined in a single person's JD. So over here, we've got three important management roles. So we've got the P3O sponsor, who normally directs and champions the establishment and evolving operation of the P3O. The head of P3O establishes and runs the permanent office, and the head of program or project office establishes and runs the temporary office. Now, here we've got some additional descriptions for each of the roles. The P3O sponsor should be a senior manager who directs and champions the P3O, should be accountable for the P3O business case, may fulfill the role of a portfolio director. Oftentimes, in a lot of organizations, the position of a P3O sponsor is given the title of a portfolio director, whereas the head of P3O is given the title of or fulfill the role of a portfolio manager. P3O manager, head of P3O, establishes and runs the offices, requires strong leadership and management skills coupled with strong PPM or strategy/business planning skills. And finally, we have the head of program or project office, and this could be deputized to a program or project manager. So this particular role establishes and runs the office, requires strong leadership and management skills coupled with strong PPM skills. And the next set of roles pertain to the generic roles. We looked into the management roles, and the generic roles are the following. We have the portfolio analyst. This particular role facilitates the development and ongoing management of an optimized portfolio, develops and maintains management dashboards. So in the exam, they kind of ask you who does the creation and maintenance of dashboards, always link it to the portfolio analyst. But a specialist, a program or a project specialist, is proactive in terms of knowledge management and promotes program and project management methodologies. This particular role provides a consultancy service to program and project managers or program and project boards. And finally, we have the role of a program or project officer. The purpose is to improve the planning and delivery process by collecting and maintaining data in a consistent form. This particular role implements guidelines, procedures, and templates to collect and maintain this data and provide hands-on delivery support. So we looked into the management roles and we looked into the generic roles. And finally, let's have a look at the functional roles. So these are the various functional roles that we could have on a P3O, a role with some skills and competence in benefits and value management. A commercial role, somebody with some experience in procurement management, especially on high value investment initiatives. We might hire a procurement specialist who has a commercial acumen. Communication and a stakeholder engagement role is another functional role. Information management role, consultancy and performance management role, finance role, issue role, change control role, planning and estimating role, quality assurance roles, along with people management roles, resource management roles. Risk role, people with a competency in identifying risks, in analyzing them, in conducting workshops, and so on. Reporting roles, secretariat or administration roles. This particular role helps in booking meeting rooms, travel arrangements, documenting minutes of meeting, things of those nature. And then if the organization adopts a tool, a PPM tool such as PlanView or Adaptive or ChangePoint, you need somebody who is an expert in that particular tool. And that is a functional role within a P3O environment. Now, depending upon the needs of the organization, these roles could be combined. The functional roles are designed as a pick and mix set to combine to make tailored job descriptions. Generic roles may also be combined when necessary. Job description should reflect the organization's business and customer requirements, headcount restrictions, skill experience and performance indicators, maturity level of organization and individual programs, projects within it, the size of program or project where the job is in a temporary program or project office. So the answer to the combination of roles and the job descriptions should reflect some of these elements. A few more thoughts on combined roles. The combination of roles need to reflect the workload, skills, competencies, and stage within the life cycle of a program or a project. Now, on a smaller project, we might not hire too many functional roles. We might hire an individual who could do risk and benefits and financial management, let's say, for example. In particular, combining roles to support a temporary program or project needs much thought and needs to be revisited and evaluated throughout the life cycle. The size of a temporary project, program, or project office will also vary throughout its life cycle, which is where the use of flexible resource pools through hub portfolio program offices add real value. In the mobilization stage, i.e. the startup or the identification or initiation stage of a project or program, there's a need for internal consultancy to facilitate establishing tailored standard processes, initiate the reporting cycle, develop plans, and fast-track the team and facilities setup. So it's good to kind of make sure that we have roles who could help in the mobilization of projects and programs. This could be provided through the temporary engagement of planners, internal consultants, to facilitate collaborative startup, planning and risk workshops, and assurance staff to establish a quality strategy and plan to work alongside the program and project managers. As a program or project progresses into the implementation and delivery phase, the need for a full-time planner reduces as program and project managers take ownership and accountability for the update of the plan. However, some planning support may still be needed. The need for internal consultancy reduces to a coaching role where required. However, the assurance role should continue on a part-time basis to provide continuity, lessons learned support, ongoing health checks, gated reviews, and advice. And during the delivery phase, depending upon the size, complexity, and innovative nature of the program or project, there may be a need for generic support from specialists or support officers, or functional-based support from a finance, comms, commercial, risk issue, or change perspective. So these are some good guidelines to keep in mind when we combine roles in the context of the functional roles within a P3O environment. Now, what considerations should we kind of look at while staffing a P3O model? There are many different roles within the P3O model, some of which are specific to a level of organizational governance, for example, a portfolio analyst, others which are specific to a function or service, such as a risk manager or a benefits manager. When designing the P3O office, job descriptions should be identified, which are specific to an individual and their skills and competencies. In developing more professional P3Os with the right skills, organizations will have to understand that an investment in high caliber individuals is required. It's more important to have the right number of appropriately skilled people who can interpret and challenge data rather than a huge number of admin staff who collate data without interpreting it and making the necessary recommendations to the decision makers. P3O is a career path in its own right, and qualifications need to be encouraged in order to improve skills, competencies, and credibility. Some additional thoughts in terms of matching roles to individual strengths. It's good to kind of look into ideas such as, is the individual good at detailed work? Is the person a people person? Is there a strong interpersonal and coaching skills in this individual? Does the person carry good P3RM skills and competences? Does he or she have good generic business skills, functional competencies in finance and in procurement and commerce? Generic personal skills such as coaching and mentoring, facilitation skills and presentation skills, ability to be pragmatic. These are some of the considerations that we might want to look at while staffing a P3O model.